Dun, dun, dun. Why am I going to cry already? I'm so proud of him. Do you guys know he's my nephew? Yeah, he's my nephew. It runs in the family. It's not from my husband's side. Okay, Derek, why don't you go ahead and give an introduction?
Yeah, all right. Hi, everybody. Glad you guys could all make it out. My name is Derek Ponce. I'm from Lakewood. I went to Bancroft Middle School for middle school. Went on to CAMS, California Academy of Math and Science, right there in Carson, located by the CSUDH property. And I'm now a rising sophomore at Harvard studying biomedical engineering. I want to be a cardiac surgeon. And a little bit of background just on things that I do outside of the classroom, just so you guys don't think I'm like a big time nerd.
A super nerd.
I play.
He's a little nerd, not a super.
I play on the Harvard Club soccer team. I tutor elementary kids in Boston, high school and college kids online. I manage a custom apparel company and conduct research. So. Absolute
slackers. Like, lazy. Okay, so if you want to have a seat, we'll get started. This is so exciting. I'm not trying to turn my back on you, royal family over there. Okay, so we're going to start just with, he gave you a quick little life map of, how he got here. But what we're going to do, we've spent time talking about this a few times on how to make this more of a community vibe event, to where questions that I really wanted to know, I asked, not very generic questions. So questions that families have brought up about how, the process of getting into schools like these, this is what we're focusing on. And a big part of it was how you were raised, and it started very, very young. So if you could just talk a little bit about, a little more detail about your life map.
Yeah. Okay, so I credit a lot of my, like where I am right now, to how I was raised as like a toddler, I think. When I was like 3 to 4 years old, my parents already had me doing these workbooks. The ones I can see right now in my head are like the ones you buy at Sam's Club. They have like a little bunny, and they say like for grades 1 to 2, right? Or grades 3 to 4. As a kid that young, my parents had me doing these. So by the time I got into preschool or kindergarten, I already had like the foundation ready. So like I remember I had a parent-teacher conference in kindergarten, right? And I got in trouble, and the teacher told my dad, like, Derek is a great student, but like I pass out the assignment, right? And before I have it all the way passed out, like he's already done, right? And I don't really see why that was a problem, but she thought it was a problem. So she was like, Derek, like if you could just wait until I have it completely passed out and explain, then go as fast as you can, right? But yeah, so like there was that, and like my parents pushed me to do like multiplication division before I was supposed to. So like all of elementary school, I was that one step ahead, and I think that really carried through up until now. Just
if
because
I can interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this really resonated with me, because the kids who are getting into the Ivies, they're the ones who are 3 years ahead, right? They're 3 years advanced intellectually than the other seniors when they're graduating. That is not magic. Of course, some people are geniuses, right? We're not talking about that. I'm talking about us, right? How we're getting into Harvard. How Lakewood folk whose parents didn't go to an Ivy are going to Harvard, okay? And here's how you do it. You start today, right? And with your little ones who are at home, you start with them today. So he didn't automatically, jump his senior year to be 3 years ahead of them. He started when he was 3 years old. And so when he was 4, he was a few months ahead. When he was 5, he was a few months more ahead. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a process. It's not magic. It's everyday work, regular work, just getting ahead. So by the time he got to, freshman year, he was light years ahead of everyone. So we got to get started today is my point. Okay.
Yeah, so, starting that, elementary school was pretty good. I went to middle school, and, by then, I've already gotten used to, like, work is the thing to do, right? Like, schoolwork's not, like, the boring thing for me. It's just kind of like, this is what you're supposed to do, right? So whenever I was doing homework or taking tests or studying or anything, like it just felt like that's what I was supposed to do, you know. So like it wasn't a chore, right? So yeah, go through middle school, and then in my 7th grade year.
Where did you go to middle school?
Bancroft.
Yeah. Lakewood, right?
So my 7th grade teacher sees me and she's like, Derek, you should go to CAMS, right? California Academy of Math and Science.
Have you guys heard of CAMS? Is everyone familiar? Can you just explain, say the name a little bit slower and explain kind of the point of it?
Yeah, California Academy of Math and Science. The big perk of it is it's located on CSUDH property, so as a student there, you can take college classes at the college.
So it's on Cal State Dominguez
like
Hills. I thought it was next door. I didn't even
No, it's on it. Like, you walk down the path and you're at CSUDH.
Very cool.
So, I mean, obviously that's a great resource and one that I really tried to take advantage of.
Who can get into CAMS? How did you
I was going to go into that. So getting into CAMS, you have to interview and take in like a math or science type project, which, I mean, this at age 12 or 13 or whenever you're applying, I mean, it does seem like a big thing, right? I had never had an interview. I had never talked in front of people like that. You pretty much talk to a senior or an underclassman and a teacher, right? And you have 20 minutes to kind of make your mark, and they accept about 180 each year. And then you're pretty much immersed in this community, right, that everyone's geared towards college. Everyone's geared towards, I'm going to reach that next level, right, which is a really valuable thing I think I got. Just because we didn't know about CAMS until that one teacher told me, and had I not heard about that, I probably wouldn't have gotten there. And I credit the people that I was surrounded with, you know, letting me know what was going on, right? I couldn't really talk to my parents or family about college because nobody knew about that, or internships, or what classes to take, or prepping for the SAT. All these things were pretty new to me, right? So all of my peers who had parents who had gone to these places were the ones who really pushed me in that right direction, which I am really thankful for.
And then at CAMS, can you talk about Project Lead the Way? Yeah,
so CAMS pretty much has 2 really big pathways. Starting your freshman year, you take 2 engineering courses, your freshman year and your sophomore year, which is pretty cool because you get experience with CAD, which is computer-aided design, which is a really big program if you're going to go into college and you're going to go into like architecture or anything really aerospace-y. And then biotech was really cool to take junior year, and you could take it senior year, just because me being a really sciencey type person, like wanting to get into the lab, it taught me a lot of skills that you know, a lot of other kids didn't really learn, right? And I saw that at Harvard once I'm taking a bio class and kids don't know how to, you know, like work the equipment, right? They're holding the pipettes upside down, which is like
Harvard
really,
kids,
right? They don't know. Don't get this on camera, please.
Kick them out.
No, so yes, like I'm walking around with my pipette the right way. You know, you're not supposed to tilt it up because if not the liquid gets inside and ruins the thing. And these kids are just like waving them around, right? And I'm just like, dude, you're gonna break the equipment, but they don't know these things, right? So I thought that was really.
So just by going to CAMS, you feel like you even had
that,
a one-up even when you got to Harvard.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was really good. Another thing that CAMS really offered me was ASOP, which is the American Honda Science Opportunity Program, which is you apply to it as a freshman, and if you get in, I think they picked 50 my freshman year, you get to take general or intro to college chemistry your freshman summer, right? Which was really good. It really taught me a lot, I think, and I took general chemistry through the same program my sophomore year, right?
Are those college courses?
Right, yeah.
So see, that's what I'm saying. So he's in, what grade were you in, 9th?
Freshman, yeah.
Freshman, taking that's that 3 year ahead already by the time he's there. It didn't happen overnight, but he was already getting to take the college courses in high school.
Which I think that was really beneficial, not only because you're learning the material, but you know, you're getting used to being lectured at, right? College is a lot very different from high school, because in high school they talk to you, they explain things like 3 times over and over, but in college, you know, you're getting lectured at, and you're trying to write what's on the slides at the same time as you're like listening and trying to get everything that you feel is important. So I think, you know, getting into that environment early on was pretty cool, because once I got to Harvard, it wasn't anything different, right? I had already gotten used to being talked at, and you know, you're looking and writing, and you're listening and writing, and you're trying not to mix those two up, because if not, you get really messed up. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool.
So I know you did that. That's a program you did in summer. What did your average summer look like? So for like a lot of us, summer is party time, right? Like we go to the beach. Woo! High school is so hard. I need a 3-month vacay, right?
Right.
And so is that what Is that what your summer looked like?
Yeah, so if you, I guess, would look at the last 5 years of my life, you'd probably think that, like, I thought summer vacation was overrated, just because I was always either in a classroom. I was always in the classroom, pretty much studying or learning, and then, like, this past summer, I spent it in Seal Beach doing an autism research internship. But back on the summer, right, we had...
So high school summer looked like what?
Right, 6-week... 6-week class. It started in like June, ended around July 17th.
So the day you're out of school, basically, next week you start.
Right, the next week you start. Yeah, and you know that's pretty different just because you're always working, right? You're never really getting that refresher, I guess, which could be a problem for some people because you're never getting that break. But yeah, so like with summers, it was pretty tough just because like I go on a vacation right every year with my grandma and grandpa, and you know. We go to Vegas, right, which falls in like the middle of June, and then we go camping, which falls at the end of July. And I remember my trip to Vegas my freshman year, I spent the whole 4-hour ride doing chemistry problems out of my book, right? So
totally
I'm sitting there doing problems, my sister's laughing at me, my cousin's laughing at me. My friends at school are laughing at me, right, because they're like, what are you doing still in class, right? And yeah, like every night in Vegas.
Hey, who's laughing now?
So yes, like every night in Vegas, right, wasn't spent watching a movie with the cousins or, you know, going on the strip or anything. It was, you know, working on that. And I really feel like that really set me up just because I took the same chemistry class at Harvard my first semester. And, I mean,
What'd you get in it? What'd you get?
I got an A.
Oh, at Harvard.
No, but like, you know, there's Harvard and there's CSUDH, right? And you would think that, like people have this conception that Harvard classes are supposed to be like harder and more difficult, which that one didn't seem as difficult as the one that I took my freshman year at CSUDH, right? Like I kind of breezed through it. Like
Kelsey Dominguez Hills
right, like the
as
prep,
challenging or more than the Harvard one.
Right. The prep was really good. And yeah, like I'm even gonna tutor that class next year, right? Just because I had done so well. So like definitely looking back on my summers as a freshman, like when I was going through it, would I have, you know, like doubted myself for doing it? Maybe a bit, but like looking back on that, it was those hours that really, you know, got me to where I am right now, right?
So that's just something I wanted mostly the kids to hear because I know that the parents, you know, do try and express this, but you really need to hear it from the source that those times driving, like doing your note cards when other kids are not, that's going to make a difference. It will make a difference when you choose to do volunteer work, to study, to take college courses in summer. That is not just for no reason. It's very important. It's very important. And then did you want to talk about UCLA?
Yeah. So then my junior year, I was supposed to continue with the ASOP program and take the second year of general chemistry. But I had met someone who introduced me to this program at UCLA. It's called UCLA Smarts. You can do it as a rising junior or senior. And pretty much what you do...
What does rising mean?
Rising is like you're... Like right now, I just finished my freshman year. I'm going to be a sophomore, right? So I'm a rising sophomore.
Oh, it sounds fancy.
It's a... Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it sounds
like
good.
it. I like it.
Yeah, so if you're going to be a junior or a senior in this upcoming year, like you can apply this, right? And pretty much what you do is you take AP Calculus, you do SAT prep, and you take a robotics course, right, over 6 weeks.
During summer,
right. That one started, I think, July 1st and ended around, like, August 10th or 11th. So that one was really cool because I took it right before my senior year. So I took, again, AP Calc before I took it that year, right? So going into my senior year, I already knew the first semester of the material, right, just because I had already gone through it.
I'm sorry, how did you find this program, UCLA Smarts?
Yeah, I knew some underclassmen who...
So just like you had mentioned before, it's kind of important.
Right.
Your friends who you're
right.
surrounded
friends
with, so you guys
and
each kind
people,
of have heard about something maybe, and you help each other.
Right, because
that.
like I had no idea about this program, just like a lot of people I think don't know about it. But this person had siblings who were older, and you know were in college or applying to college, right? And they had done these programs, so she was like, "You should probably do this too."
I just want to say too, a lot of us put our faith in school counselors maybe a little too much. They have a lot on their plate, and if we're being honest, I doubt many of them have experience with IVs, right? Probably none of the local counselors do. So I've talked to a lot of kids who have said, oh, I have an appointment with my counselor. And I think, woo, You spend better time on the computer, right? You need to do your own research, and you always want to talk to something that he mentioned is, like the older siblings. Somebody, you don't have to be best friends with the person who went. They will be honored. If you heard about somebody who went to Stanford or Berkeley, they will be honored if you ask them, hey, what kind of classes should I do during summer? How did you get there? Whether you are very close or not, right? Do you love when people ask you questions?
Right, yeah,
Yeah, so just do your own research. A high school counselor is not getting you into an Ivy. It's never going to happen. Maybe a UC, maybe, if you're the one going beating down their door. Nobody's coming to you. Okay.
Yeah, so off that, just real quick, I know how difficult it could be to do your own research, right? Because there were a lot of times where my parents were like, Derek, college is going to be expensive. Go find scholarships, right? And I'm just kind of like where, what do I do, right? Because if you Google scholarships, you're going to get all these sites that say like FastWeb or, Scholarships Now. And they're just really ambiguous, right? Like you sign up for an account and you think they're going to give you opportunities and all they do is fill your mailbox with like spam, right? So yeah, a lot of the things that I heard about were through people, right? Like all the programs I did my junior year were from people. Like scholarships that I won were from people. A few from my college counselor, luckily, but most of them, it's from the people that you know, right? It's the people that you surround yourself with.
Okay, so what if we don't know anyone who went to Harvard or who got it? What do you suggest doing?
I would say...
Because I didn't know anyone who went to Harvard until you.
Right. Look around like stores. I know Best Buy, Target, things like that. Coca-Cola do scholarships. The one that I won my junior year was a Nordstrom scholarship for $10,000, and they gave me a laptop. That one I heard about at track practice the day before it was due. And my friend was like, yeah, you have to write 2 essays and, turn in your transcripts. And like she was stressing about it. And then I was like, oh, could I still apply? And she's like, yeah, but like it's kind of too late for that, right?
She's like, it's tomorrow.
Right. So like I just went home, worked on it for like 4 hours, and then turned it in, and like it got me $10,000.
Oh,
right?
She hates you. She was so mad.
For a bit, but she got over it.
Did you kick her a G at least?
No, she's at Stanford now, so she's
okay. She's okay.
She's doing
okay,
well. Yeah,
everybody.
she's doing well. But yeah, okay. It's really like try to get a network going, right? Like get people around you that are gonna know things that you don't know, right?
So what we can do too is, we're going to put all of this online, like the bullet points and everything like that. So we'll work on, since he does have some of that intel in case you guys don't know people who went, we'll try to get a list of some scholarship leads to help you guys out, and we'll post it on the website. Okay, so the other important part of getting you into college was your volunteer work.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think the important thing with volunteering, I know a lot of people think it's a drag. I know I did when I was really starting out. But the trick is to find something that you care about, right? Something that you care about, and something that when you put it on your resume or on the Common App when you're applying to schools, it's not going to look out of place, right? Like, I wouldn't volunteer like a basketball camp, right? Because I don't play basketball. A lot of my things were spent. My dad started a soccer team like in 2008 with my little sister. They played in the Cedar Tribals League. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's in Long Beach. But yeah, we had like an all-girls team in an all-guys league, right? So that was pretty cool. And yeah, it was pretty much like every Wednesday or like every Friday we would go down, I think like warm up, play a game, and then go home, right? So like that's how I was getting my hours, and it felt really cool just because like the kids on the team weren't the greatest, right? Like academically or just like as well-rounded people. But like over the years,
was it people from hard areas too?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, like my dad kind of had like a zero tolerance policy where it was like if you're not doing well in school, like
good for you. Where'd you go? Oh my God, he's not here. Good for you, Dad.
He's probably my little brother outside.
Oh.
But yeah, so like as the years progressed, like the kids started getting better, right? And they started getting excited for school, and they were like, oh, like I got to be on my test, or I got to A on my test, and like they were changing. It just felt really good to, impact someone's life like that, right? Like get them more steered towards the right path. Because like my dad said, they're in tough areas. They don't really have that guidance, right? And that's like not the norm. Mm-hmm. So for them to have people to look up to and, get like 100 hours doing that kind of thing was really cool. Yeah, and like other volunteer things were like I was on the Red Cross, which, goes with my aspirations to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. And then like I did things with my soccer club where, if you guys know Hawaiian Garden Eagles, we practice right there at the Fetty Complex, I think it was called, but they had like an event for like a Special Olympics type event. And so, I spent the day the weekend right there, setting up, helping them play soccer, and that feels really good. And yeah, when it comes on my resume, they're like, they see that I play soccer, I'm really passionate about soccer, and all my volunteer things were in soccer. And like, I want to be a doctor, and I took the time to really put myself in the field, right, doing Red Cross and learning first aid and things like that.
So your volunteer time, I'm noticing two trends. One is that it's something that he was very passionate about. It's leading him to his life goal, right? Soccer and Red Cross.
Right.
He's still involved in both of those things at Harvard. So that's an important thing to remember with volunteering. Has to be about your passion. It's not just something that your teacher handed out and said, oh, go get some hours volunteering at the library. If you're not going to be in something to do with it, don't waste anybody's time. You can just for fun to be nice, of course, but that's not going to help you. We're here to talk about helping you get into Harvard, right? So it needs to be something that's going to show that you are truly passionate about. And the second thing is, how many hours did you do?
150 to 200.
For each thing, or for soccer? Like, how did that break down?
I want to say it was like for soccer, because my sister had 2 soccer teams that we played, so 150 each. And then Red Cross was maybe like 100.
So some people go and volunteer at their church carnival for 4 hours, right? It's not going to cut it. If you did 100 different events for 4 hours, it is not the same as one place for 100. Okay, so you need to show, and what's the reason behind that? Why do they want to see a lot of hours? What kind of feedback did you get about why they want to see many hours?
So like at Harvard, they're really lenient on switching majors, but at most schools, if you apply, you're applying to a certain college within the university, and if you go in as engineering, it's pretty hard to switch to math, right, or English, or to switch around, period. So like if you're doing all these different events and you're scattered and you're not really showing like commitment, they think they're gonna admit you and you're just gonna bounce around between college, right? Which doesn't look good. So definitely stay planted in something, just like they see that you're passionate about something, right? Which is the key, I think, especially for me, right? Like, I wasn't the smartest or like the best applicant, but I think what really shone through was, hey, this kid cares about something, right? And when he gets to school, he's gonna really take the opportunity that we're presenting to him and do something with it, right? They don't want someone whose end goal is like, oh, I'm gonna get into college and like that's it, right? I had a lot of friends tell me when I got to Harvard, they're like, Derek, like you're done, like you've already accomplished so many things your junior and senior year, right? And it's like that's cool, but like my mentality when I got to Harvard was like, everything that I've accomplished up to this point is irrelevant, right? Like no one cares what you did in junior year, no one cares what you did in senior year, right? Like fresh slate, and like you got to push yourself, right? You can't get, like, you can be happy, but you don't have to be satisfied, right? So yeah, like I took that into my own hands this year, right? Like I had a resume, and I was like, by the end of the year, I don't want to see anything from high school, right? Like I don't want, like Red Cross to be there or soccer, like team captain in high school.
You're just like knocking it off.
Like just knock it off, right? Like slowly, and like progress, right? Like never stop pushing. Yeah.
So and another thing I want to say about volunteer hours is that it is basically like your job, right? So it's your work history. So as adults, we all know when we go to apply for a certain job, it doesn't look fantastic to have 10 different places in a year, right? It looks fantastic to have the same place because, one, you were passionate about it, committed, but also they let you keep coming back, right? You were doing a great job. So it's a two-sided thing to show the times. So that's basically how we got into Harvard, and now we're going to talk about some of the special things that I know I have been asked questions about. A very cool thing is a fly-in program, and it's about getting your kids to travel all over for free to check out the campuses. So that was a big question that I got often. So
yeah.
You want to talk to them about the fly-ins first, how you heard about these programs?
Yeah. So I'm now a rising senior, right? So I'm between junior and senior year. And one of the upperclassmen who had just gone to Williams, which is a really good liberal arts college, posted it in the school Facebook page, right? And she was like, I'm looking to mentor an underclassman, like message me if you're interested, right? So I shot her a message and I was like, hey, like, could you help me? Because like at this point, I'm a I'm about to be a senior, right? At this point, I had no idea I wanted to go to Harvard, right? I only applied because my dad told me to. And, you know, my dad was kind of like, hey, you should go to Harvard, right? And my eyes lit up, and I was like, Dad, like, I'm not Harvard smart, right? Like, because everyone, I think, has that perception of, like, what a Harvard kid is,
Absolutely.
right? And I think that, you know, like, figment of imagination, like, perfection is not true, right? Like, the kids at my campus are not, like, perfect little angels, right? Like, they're not genius, or they're smart, but they're not,
There's
like,
a few geniuses walking around, but
but yeah, like that's not the majority, right? So she sent me this list of fly-in programs, which is pretty much, if you Google college fly-in program, you'll get this list.
college fly-in programs.
Right.
Make it happen, people.
Yeah, so pretty much what you get is this list of a bunch of links, right? And it's all these colleges that offer these programs where, you know, if you apply to it, you send in your transcripts, you send in your grades, you write like an essay or two, and if you get into this, they fly you out for free, right? You stay there for like 2 to 3 days. They show you around the campus. You stay with the current undergraduate, which is pretty cool because you get to talk to them.
So you're with a student.
You're with a student.
Oh,
You're in the dorm. You're seeing the living conditions. They give you meal tickets, so you're at the dining hall. I think what's really cool about it is a lot of people, when they visit colleges, they do it over summer break or winter break because that's when they have the free time. But at that time, you know, the college campus is dead, right? No one's on it. So you're not getting that, like, actual genuine feel for what the school is like, right? Like, right now, if you go to UCLA, they don't start till October, it's going to be empty, right? But, like, come October 3rd.
So it's pretty buildings, but there's
right,
no
but you're not
real
seeing
community.
the people, right? So you go there October 3rd once they start, and now there's 100,000 people on the campus, right? And you're just like, what's going on, right? This isn't the campus I visited.
That would be a little scary.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so
Frogger.
so the fly-in programs are really important for that. And I think the biggest thing is that I didn't know until I got there was if you get into the fly-in program, your chances of getting into the school are, like, ridiculously high, right? Like, in order for you not to get into the school, you really have to do something bad, like rob a bank.
If you've already been accepted.
If you've already been accepted to the fly-in program, right?
So it's a really good litmus test, right? For whichever ones you get. And not only that, he was mentioning to me, if you get into, you know, some of these very good schools for the fly-ins, that means you need to apply to the ones that are even better than those.
Right.
So him getting accepted into, which ones did you do for fly-in?
So I did Williams College, Swarthmore College, and Colby College. I didn't know anything about the schools. I just looked at the rankings and was like, these are...
What rankings?
I mean, if you Google college rankings, you'll probably get, like, U.S. News, Business Insider, Forbes. Don't take those too seriously. What I usually do is I look at, like, the top 15 of each list. And, you know, you're going to have, like, some consistent, like, 8, right? That are just, like, constantly in the top. Like, after that, I don't believe, like, there's a number 1 or a number 2. Like, those are the good ones.
It changes every year, too,
right? Right. So yeah, I applied to those.
So you literally Googled, looked at rankings, and tried for those.
And I was like, I'm going to go for these. Another
and
big
you applied
thing,
in July?
Right.
Okay.
So some of these are really early, like the deadlines. I know the one for Williams just passed. It was, like, August 15th. But they had, like, priority deadlines throughout, and it's done on a rolling basis. So, you know, like, in July, look these up, right? Start working on your essays, turn it in. It takes, like, 2-3 days, right? They tell you, I think my year, it was Labor Day weekend, and they're like, Derek, like, come to, and they all have, like, really cool names, like Windows on Williams, right? Or Discover Swarthmore. And, you know, it's pretty cool because for me, I had never been to the East Coast. So even if I wouldn't have liked the school, you know, you're getting, like, an all-expense paid trip, right?
Yeah, he didn't even want to go to those schools right there when he was trying. He's like, oh, this sounds good. I've never been to New York. Perfect. Like, take advantage of free travel, like, you know, and if nothing else, like he said, you're going to feel that college vibe, like the pulse of the college, because this is during times when they're in full go mode, right?
So I think, like, a really big perk of that is on the last day before they fly you back, you actually meet with an admissions counselor for the school, and, you know, they kind of talk to you.
Is it, like, sales pitchy?
It's pretty sales pitchy. They ask you a few questions, but most of it's like, do you have any questions for me?
Which, by the way, the answer is always yes, right? You have to ask these people questions in interviews, or else they think that you do not care, right? So always engage back.
Right. So, like, there's that. And like my mom was saying, once you get into these programs, you kind of know what other schools you're, like, in the ballpark for. And, like, on the Common App, it has a section where you can put up to 10 things, right? And you can put honors and achievements, and you can put, like, acceptance into Wood on Williams, right? As an honor or an achievement, right?
Oh.
And I felt like, the colleges are seeing that, the #1 liberal arts college is looking at you, right? I would think if I'm an admissions person, I see that like, hey, maybe I should give this kid a closer look, right? Because like these other schools are looking at him.
Right, it makes you competitive, right?
Right.
Ooh, they want him.
Right. So like I
Absolutely.
thought that was pretty cool, and they're really beneficial.
And then, so you just turn in your SAT scores, a quick essay or two, and your transcripts kind of thing. And you do the fly-ins in October, November.
Right.
And then after you do that, you apply for college just before New Year's.
Yeah, so college applications are due usually January 1st. There are some priority ones, like USC has a priority scholarship one that's, I think, December 1st. Or you can apply to schools early if you're that confident in the school.
What are the pros and cons of applying early?
So there's two things. There's early decision and early action, right? Early decision is you apply to school early, usually around like November 1st, November 6th. And if they accept you, I think they tell you my year was December 13th. If they accept you, you are committed to going to the school, right?
So why would you do that? Why would someone try for the early?
Early decision is
Just
pretty
for
much
peace of mind to know where you're going? Or
so
why?
some schools do early decision, some schools do early action, right? So some schools were, if you're going to apply early, then you have to commit. But the other option is early action, right? Which if schools have early action, I'd much rather go with that. Just because you apply early, they let you know early, but you are not like verbally committed to the school, right?
Are they verbally committed to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a good
so you
good
have
position.
The rest of the time to accept or deny, and you're not buying it down to the school. Like you could be going through a phase in October where you're like, this school is my dream school, right? And you apply, early decision, you get in, but by that time you've done more research and you're like, okay, this school is really not for me, and then they accept you, right? And you're kind of done, right? There are loopholes to get around it, but you don't really want to do that because it doesn't look too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like definitely look into that.
So look into early action
over
early decision in case you're unsure. So early action, they would give you an offer.
Right.
So they are committed to you,
right.
but you still get to decide between
right.
a few.
And then with early decision, you can only do one per school. Early action, you can do as many as you want, unless you're applying to Stanford, Princeton, Harvard, or another Ivy, I believe. I want to say like Yale, where those are single choice early action. So you can only apply to them, but if you get in, you're not committed to it, right? So you really have to make that decision if you're going that route to which one you want to go to.
Okay, and then kind of the insider info I was trying to yank out of him is really how he got noticed. You can only imagine how many people want to go to these type of schools, right? But how did he get noticed? Why did he get picked? So we know like the route he took, the things he did to place himself in front of the admissions board, right? But why did they choose him? Because a lot of people did all those same things, and guess what? They didn't, right? So I want to talk about how you got yourself noticed.
So I think this really comes down to, your writing, right?
Because you don't get to have an interview right off, right?
Right
you
off,
have to
right.
win them over with an essay.
Right.
Okay.
And like the thing with my friends is like I have them all on Facebook, obviously, and like their statuses are just so like intricately written where it's like, were you writing this for like an assignment or like
not
what,
my
right?
friends on Facebook. Those aren't how ours are.
So like the writing is a really big part, I think, of being a competitive applicant, because these people are reading like hundreds of applications a day, right? And you need to write something that's going to get you to really stand out, right? With Harvard, it was an open-ended prompt, right?
What does that mean?
So pretty much, like if you're doing UCs, right, they tell you describe your world, and then for your second essay, it's describe an accomplishment, a quality, something that you're proud of, right?
So it's a very specific question that you respond to.
With Harvard, it was like, write whatever you want, right? And
how
they
scary
had
is that?
A list of
write
suggestions.
Whatever you want.
Like they had a list of suggestions, like write about your favorite book or your favorite song, which is just like what at
they
that
put
point
that on there as suggestions.
Yeah, like
which don't ever write whatever the suggestions are. Obviously, because 5 billion people are gonna put those exact things, right? So if they want you to write something from just you, ignore whatever the suggestions are, because everyone else will do that.
Yeah. So at that point, like I'm reading the prompt or the lack of prompt, and I'm just kind of like, what do they want to hear at this point, right? Like what essay is gonna get me through? right? So at that point, I had already written an essay for Williams because at that point I was pretty set on
You're
Williams.
writing essays like crazy, too,
Right.
probably.
And Williams' prompt was, "You're looking outside of a window. What do you see, and why is it meaningful to you?" Right? And at that point, you're kind of like,
Say it
"Why?"
again, slower.
You're looking outside of a window. What do you see, and why is it meaningful to you? Right? And at that point, I'm just like, why does this college want to know what I see outside of a window? Right?
Like they don't really want you to. Oh, we got State Farm and ladies' nails, right? So you have to stop and think, what are they trying to get at?
Right.
Right.
So like at that point, I was kind of like, okay, like what am I seeing outside of my window, right? And at that point, I had been applying to like 18, 19 colleges, so I had been constantly writing essays. So what I ended up writing about was I'm sitting in my car.
Okay, this is secret insider info. This is his essay. So Williams gave him this prompt. It resonated with him so much that he decided to use that for his open-ended. So you don't really have to stop at that second and think of something on your own for that Harvard essay. You can, Google interesting questions about your life or whatever. You still are going to choose what to write. So he really enjoyed this prompt. It resonated with him. So he just took his essay that he had written for Williams with that very specific question and felt like that's what he wanted to roll with for Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like this was probably my favorite essay that I wrote just because it was really like close to me. So like I'm sitting in the car and I'm writing on essays, which is why I'm in the car, right? And you hear whistles, right? So it's soccer. And I look out the window and my sister's playing soccer, right? And so I have a little sister.
His Harvard essay sister.
I have a little sister. We're really competitive, and that's always pushed me, right? So I wanted to write about that. So whistles start. She's dribbling down the field, and I relate watching her dribble down the field and like her development as a soccer player to like I kind of use that as a metaphor to relate to like watching her grow up, right, and like become the sister that she is now. And I talk about how that's shaped me as a person, right? Like it's hard to mess up when you're pretty hard on yourself, but like when you have someone looking up to you, it's a bit harder, right?
Mm-hmm. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, right. So I wrote about that, and I closed it off with.
See, this is why he got in, because it was a very passionate personal essay. You can see that it's a true feeling from his heart. It is not a stock answer. Harvard will not. They're going to be me, right? It needs to be extremely personal, extremely passionate. It needs to be an essay they have never read before, and it needs to be genuine. And he has told me too, in the Harvard classes, they'll ask you for an answer, and they, even in something that seems like it's a basic answer, they will be like, no. They want to hear something passionate, your whole body, your whole being, for like every single answer on every single test, right? So you got to find a way to harness that feeling he has inside of him. We all have things inside of us. Now, it should not be a sob story. Okay, everyone writes sob stories. Nobody wants to hear about how hard your life was. Right? That's what everyone writes about. They want to hear about how your life changed and how it's amazing now and how you're getting better every day and how his little sister helped him get better every day. Okay? So no sob stories, trust me.
Yeah, so then I closed off that essay with like looking out the window, I see what I'm going to miss most about home, right? And I felt like my essays for the Common App were pretty family-centered, and that one took it to like the next level, right? And I had sent it to college admissions people that I had connected with at these flying programs, or at people who had like made themselves available.
Tell me about that really quickly. So you met people at, who should they be meeting at the fly-ins?
Your fly-ins, the last day you're going to meet with your college admissions person. Okay. Usually they give you a card, they give you an email, and they're like, if you have any questions, like reach out to me. So I sent the email to everyone, right? And I was like, what do you think about this essay? They really liked it.
So you got actual college admission people to check your essay
to read
first.
it before I turned it in.
That's a great idea.
Right.
That's why not, right? They gave their number. Take them up on it. Right. Have as many people as you can read it and get feedback.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think the main point with that is like you guys aren't gonna go home and write about my little sister for your essay, or at least I hope not.
That would be
pretty
so
creepy.
weird.
But yeah, I mean like that's an essay that I think is gonna really stand out from the rest who are writing about like the typical things, right?
Give an example of what they should not write about.
Yeah, like when you sit down, don't don't try to mold your essay to what you think the college wants to hear, because chances are everyone else is thinking the same thing and they're going to write an essay that sounds extremely similar to it. So, you know, like really try to get something that's going to like catch their attention, you know, and like really get them to look at your essay, right?
So what we were talking about a couple days ago is Harvard and the other big dogs, right? They are not looking for people whose goal in life is to get into Harvard. Not interested. Not interested. They are looking for people who see Harvard about here on their goals, right? And they want the people who, here's Harvard, and then I have 100 other things I'm going to accomplish after Harvard, and, you know, with the help of Harvard, with the help of it. But they're looking for people that are going to make their school a better place. They know once you graduate, you're doing big, big things, right? So they're not interested in people where their whole answer and their whole end goal is to get into Harvard. Everyone wants to get into Harvard. They're looking for people who are going to be amazing after they leave. And you need to let them know why Harvard should want them, not why you want Harvard, right? Why Harvard wants you, not why you want Harvard. Okay.
So one really cool thing was, or before I start that, once I got in, everyone was kind of like, Derek, what was the one thing that you did that got you into Harvard, right? And at that point, like, I don't have an answer, because it's like, I was pretty good academically. I was pretty good, like, with sports.
Okay, he was really good academically. We'll talk about that really quick.
So you have to be a well-rounded package, right? Where not one thing is going to be, like, the one thing that's going to get you in, right? But so many people had asked me that question that when you get into Harvard, your admissions person, whoever read your essay, sent you a little postcard, right, with a little note.
This is my favorite part of his whole Harvard story, because this is info that everybody on earth would want to hear. So this is my favorite part.
Right, so you get a little postcard, right? It says like, "Hi Derek, I'm the person who read your essay. You know, what she said was, I'm also from the Los Angeles area. My parents are also from Mexico. And you like look forward to seeing you on the campus. Like, hit me up if you have any questions." And she signed it off, right?
Probably not hit me up.
Well, yeah, I
no HMU, but.
But yeah, so then I get to campus. I go through my first semester. And midway through my second semester, I was just thinking, like, I haven't talked to my admissions counselor, right? So I shot an email, and I was like, "Hey, my name's Derek Ponce. You admitted me last year. I was wondering if you, like, wanted to grab dinner sometime," right? Like, okay. Not in a creepy, datey way.
Whoa. I got to stop you for 1 second, because so he now is contacting the person who literally read his essay and was like, this guy's in, right? What an opportunity to get to hear what this person at Harvard thought of what he wrote and why she chose him, right? This is awesome to get to hear. And the bravery that went behind that decision for him to get out of his comfort zone and approach someone so high up, right? An admissions person at Harvard has got to be intimidating. But he said, well, that's just what I got to do, right? And he was brave, and he reached out and invited her to meet up so he could get, why did you admit me? Because everyone wants to know, right? So I'm proud of you for doing that. And so reward us with what you got.
Yeah, so going off of that, right, she emailed me back like 2 days later, and she's like, "Derek, I'm sorry I didn't respond to this sooner, but like I'm free this day if you want to come have dinner in one of the upperclassmen houses," right? So I went over there, and she ends up being like I want to say like 27-year-old girl from here.
What?
Super relaxed. Yeah, super cool. Pretty short too, so she doesn't even look that old. And she's just a really cool person, right? She's
just a regular person.
She's just a regular person, right? So yeah, she's like, "How did you enjoy your first year?" And then like she remembered things from my app. Like she was like, "Oh, are you still playing soccer? Are you like involved with these things?"
She remembered your application.
Yeah, which I think is pretty cool.
Wow, that is amazing.
But yeah, so I had dinner with her, and then a bunch of kids there really liked her as well. So like they sat with us. We had dinner. I met a bunch of upperclassmen, and it was really cool, right? So like at the end of our talk, I was like, I don't mean to be annoying, but everyone asked me like like what was the one thing that got me in, right? And like she just looks at me and like shakes her head, and she's like, that attitude right there is exactly like why people don't get in, right? Like when you're reading the applications, and like her words were like, either you have it or you don't, right? And you can see through that resume that's just been like crafted to get into Harvard, right? As opposed to the one that has like life accomplishments that that person who wants to take it to the next level. So yeah, like hearing that from her was pretty cool, just because like everyone who had asked me that question before, I was like, well, either you have it or you don't, right? But like it's just a way of living, I think. Like I didn't live my life to try to get into Harvard, right? Like the goal was pretty much, my parents taught me to try to be the best at a really young age, and like that's what I constantly strived for. And then my senior year, right before I was supposed to apply, and once my dad told me like, here, apply, everything was already in place, right? I didn't have to switch anything, I didn't have to fake anything, and it was just pretty much like, tell them what I've done these last 12 years, right?
Yeah, he had mentioned, and it's kind of why I spoke about it a little bit earlier, but they get overwhelmed with the same stories over and over. Something that is cool that resonated with her was that his parents and her parents were from Mexico. That was a big deal. First generation into Ivy is a huge deal. First generation into any college, any of those things is a big deal. People coming from other countries and living the American dream and their child getting into Harvard is a big, huge deal, right? So that was a big deal that touched her personally. So those essays really are supposed to be personal, something that can make your admissions feel what you felt, a way to connect. And then the other thing that she had mentioned was the whole, your goal shouldn't be Harvard, right? The school should want you to come to their school. It should be like, wow, this kid is going places, whether he goes to Harvard or Berkeley or wherever, this kid is going places and he's going to make Harvard look good. So that was something that she mentioned instead of, what's the one trick to get into Harvard? It doesn't, it's your life, living your life genuinely and trying your very best, and in summers working your little booty off and writing a genuine killer essay and volunteering at places that mean a lot to you, not just will look good, putting in, the many hours, the committed hours to things that make sense for who you want to be in life. And so it's really a total package that she was looking for, and you told her about it in your essay.
Right.
You have recently done a couple events. You want to just tell them? You get
yeah. Okay, so upcoming things. If you guys watch Univision, I'm going to get interviewed by them
on
next
TV.
month.
He's going to be on TV.
And that's going to air sometime in October. So,
we'll put it on our website, too, so you guys can be like, I know him.
So, if you guys want to, check that out.
And then maybe if you guys do think of some questions, because I know it's sometimes awkward in a room full of people that you don't know, if you want to, shoot me an email question that I know him. Did I mention he's my family? I'm a little bit proud of him. But I can, maybe relay some questions that maybe you kids have once you're away, from the event.
And another thing, this year I was thinking about maybe mentoring people who are interested.
Derek, you're gonna get a lot of fan club right now.
So if you guys are interested in something like that, you guys could shoot me an email at
listen to his email address. This is so fun. Everybody write this down.
It's Derek Ponce, DEREK PONCE at college.harvard.edu.
I want to go there just so that could be my address. I'm going to just be handing out my email to everyone. That's right. Harvard.
But yeah, so if you guys are interested in something like that, it's
He sure can. He would love to.
It's DEREK PONCE at college Harvard edu. Write that down somewhere if you want.
Yeah, we'll put it on the website too. I know you are going to have a lot of emails. I hope you're ready. Okay, last call for questions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure you mentioned or not, but what did you accomplish this summer, and what did you do?
So it was pretty funny actually. Just the importance of making a good impression. I had an interview for University of Pennsylvania, which is another Ivy, and I ended up connecting really well with the girl who did my interview. So once I got in, she sent me, I think she called me and she was like, Derek, you're the only student who got in who hasn't committed. What are you gonna do, right?
Oh,
and I was kind of I'm gonna go to Harvard, right? And she was like, oh, that's really cool. I went there for grad school, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Didn't think of anything after that. ended up signing up for like this mentorship program at Harvard, and she ends up being my mentor,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So I shot an email, and I was like, this is crazy, right? Like, we already know each other. This is pretty cool. So yeah, like, she told me, if you want anything to do over winter break, like, shoot me an email. So I did that, and I ended up helping open a school in Los Angeles. It's called Valiente Charter Prep. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Really?
it.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, first day of school was on Monday. So it was 4th and 5th grade. So that was pretty cool, right? And then this summer, she was able to get me a position at Autism Partnership in Seal Beach as an intern. So I helped with research. I sat in on sessions, watched videos, and a few of those papers that I helped work on are going to be published in
Wow.
next month or two. So yeah.
What did you write about? What was that?
I mean, it was pretty much just evaluating their ABA procedures and
What does
seeing
that mean?
applied behavioral analysis, right? It's the way that they teach autistic students. And, you know, everyone has like a customized lesson plan, right? And my job was pretty much to watch the videos and see, like, is this working, is this not? And then, like, this past week, we did, like, sessions where they teach the kid in different ways, and they see which one, you know, like, clicks with them the best. And then they, like, write a paper as to why that method is the best and why these didn't really work. So, yeah, that's how I spent my summer from June
So
until
pretty much just like me.
this past Monday.
Opening schools, helping all the kids in need. Okay, guys, we're going to take a brief intermission. Is Joe and Desiree here? Oh, yay. Okay, so Joe and Desiree are the owners of Cassidy's Corner in Lakewood, and they're going to put on a cool demo of their brand new product. Right, Joe? Right. Let's give Derek a big round of applause.
Thank you guys. I mean, I hope that the main takeaway from this was, you know, like, it's never too late to start. I definitely wasn't expecting to be here 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. So yeah, like, don't cut yourself short before you try. So I mean, yeah, like, accomplish what you can.
The only people that get accepted are the ones that apply, right? Don't forget to put yourself out there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. This is good. Bagel bomb few times.
Yay!
What's up?